Dr. Ben is back in the house. He's back from his Q-cation. Did you know, Ben, that the letter Q is used as a currency symbol for the Guatemalan quetzal? Did you know that? Not a pretzel, a quetzal. And since you're so used to taking these active vacations, I know a friend of ours, actually a member of the gym, who is in Guatemala right now doing a lot of hiking up mountains and that type of thing. So the next time you're looking for your next vacation spot, maybe Guatemala for you and the kids, because the quetzal, you can use your Q and your IQ and your Ben Q. It's all the same Q. He's the main man. He is it. And did you also know that the Roman numeral Q? Did you know there was a Roman numeral Q, Ben?
No.
You know what number it represents?
All kinds of stuff.
500,000.
Wow.
And that's what you're worth. That's what you're worth. And that's
yeah.
So, at least. But anyway, here he is, Dr. Ben. Thanks, Ben. Welcome.
Yeah. Hi, Jack. How are you doing?
Good. You can tell I'm not very animated today. I'm just kind of laid back.
No, you're very laid back today.
Chilling.
Yeah. No, that's what I love about you. Your laid backness. Yeah. No.
How was the trip?
Back from vacation, just settling back into work. So it's been real nice getting back at it.
Okay, you were in Utah, yes?
Yeah, doing a little downhill skiing with my wife. So that's always, I always grade my downhill skiing by did I get injured or did I not get injured? And I did not get injured. So that's the main thing. So I'm glad about
Excellent. That. And you went there with one wife. You didn't do the Mormon thing and come back with extra.
No, I did not come back with multiple wives. I have just one wife, 2 dogs, 3 children. So I
question the sanity of anybody who would like more than one wife, but that's or spouse. I'm not just picking on.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It is, but not you. So you didn't want to talk about Mormonism. You wanted to.
You know what's interesting about the Mormon church? It's very fascinating. They have very strict rules around alcohol consumption. And being from Wisconsin, where we have like no rules, and it's the more is better approach. It was just fascinating to see, every drink you had to have order food with it, and then it had to be completely gone before you could order another drink. It was very, very stringent regulations there on alcohol consumption.
Wow. I was in Salt Lake City one time for a project. Did you know, Ben, that Salt Lake City is known as LA East because you go there for a lot of B movies, not the primo movies, but a lot of B movies that don't have the big budgets go there because there's so many talented musicians, orchestras, players who you can do a non-union gig with them.
I would believe that, and I think it attracts people for the same reason maybe California does. It's just so beautiful there. It is. If you're someone who loves nature or wants to do activities that are outdoors, hiking, biking,
right,
skiing, there's no better place. It's really quite nice. We go there almost every year. So, but I can see why that would attract a lot of those types of people that love that kind of stuff.
We did a full production. We had an orchestra. We were in a studio that was an old, oddly, a church that was reformed.
Mm-hmm.
Not the church wasn't reformed, but it was rehab. And we did a full thing with opera singers and musicians. It was just fantastic. The thing I remember about Salt Lake City, and I didn't get out of the city, but that was fine. I walk out of the hotel. You're in the city. You look out to the mountains. Horizon, and there are mountains right outside the city.
Everywhere, 360 degrees of mountains. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Even the airport's beautiful. There's big windows, mountains everywhere. It's like, wow, this is So
we had a ball. Go back. Good.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
So what do you got on the agenda this week, Ben?
Oh man, I don't even know how to frame my question or my vein of topic for today, because it's such a broad topic. But so I've had a long bad relationship with dairy products. They're not my favorite for a multitude of different reasons. And every so often when I'm doing a talk on nutrition or whatever, someone will ask me, well, what do you think about dairy? And I usually give an honest answer. I don't think dairy's for everybody. I think there are better sources of protein for humans than drinking the milk of a mature cow, or eating it in its other products, And at one talk a couple of years ago I was giving, a lady stood up with a question. She kind of shrieked, like, what about the calcium? she was like, got really intense, like, and she was really pissed, that I would ever like
Well,
be like,
and as you have been a big proponent of bone density, and as kids, we've been indoctrinated that milk is necessary for bone growth and bone things. So
and
that probably was part of her. Yeah, that was probably part of her shrieking.
Yes, the dairy industry has done such a good job of brainwashing everybody that like milk and calcium intake is like the most important thing you can do for your bones. And really, and I'm citing sources from like Harvard Medical School and everything. Nothing could be further from the truth. Like most of the studies are incredibly disappointing on whether you up your intake of calcium or dairy products. You have no benefit as far as less fracture risk. There's multitudes of different studies where it just hasn't come out to be true. For whatever reason, just upping your calcium intake does not lead to stronger bones or bones that are more resistant to fracture. And, and really it comes down to, in my opinion, Jack, the problem we do with many of the different things that we do in America, where like, we reduce it down to like one little thing. Like you just have, here's this big, vast array of food we're eating, and we're just going to pull out this one thing, calcium. Like that's going to fix people's bone density. And, most of the time the body works where you intake nutrients, and they work like an orchestra. They all work together, so like the calcium needs magnesium, and it needs vitamin D, and it needs vitamin K1 and K2. Like all 5 of those are working together, probably with other stuff we don't know about that's in the food, to create a matrix where we, can have strong bones and connective tissue and everything else. And then that's why I always, to take it down to like this one little thing and say that's what's doing it, I just think is a very simplistic view. And it's many times why all of these studies on supplements don't work. Like almost every supplement they ever study, they're like, wow, we thought vitamin D was going to be a big thing, and then they do like actual real trials on it. It's like, oh, that was disappointing. Like how many of those have there been? And it just fascinates me. But so I will tell you the one thing, if you want to know the one thing that has been borne out in study after study after study after study after study that increases bone density. Do you know what it is, Jack? You know what it is.
Yeah, of course. Do you want me to say it? I don't want to spoil your
No, you can say it. You know what it is.
It's weight training.
Weight training, weight bearing exercise. Like, stop worrying so much about how much milk you're consuming and start doing some bone loading activity, and that is the gist of our YouTube episode that we're going to be filming next week, which is kind of what are the best exercises you can do? Because I've had many different clients come in where I've worked with them on this, and I've been very, very successful over the decades on maintaining or increasing bone density, through strength training and then just improving people's diets in general. So
Ben, it seems to me, excuse me, but the thing about bone density and weight training, I know I'm not doubting what you're saying. However, it seems almost counterintuitive. Like you think of weight training for muscles, right? You don't think of it, or at least most people, you think differently because you know more. But how does weight training literally help bone density?
And when you think about it, like, yeah, we think muscles when we think weight training, but you got to remember, muscles are the kind of active component that creates movement. But muscles, the whole kind of system that we have, you have to have bones, you have to have ligaments, you have to have tendons, you have to have connective tissue and muscles. All of that works together. And really, anytime you do anything where you strengthen the muscle tissue, you are also strengthening all of those other structures. So a very good measure to whether or not you're doing well on your bone density or your tendon strength and all that other stuff is if you start to see increases in the amount of weight you can lift, meaning like you could only do body weight squats when you first started, but now you're doing squats with a 20-pound kettlebell in your hands, for 20 reps or whatever. You can be pretty, in your own mind think, well, gosh, I probably improved all of my connective tissue, including my bones. It all moves one direction or the other. So if you find that you're getting weaker, which i.e. as we age, we all get weaker, and that's where this osteopenia, osteoporosis starts to creep in on people's lives, it's just natural because you're going to get weaker if you're not doing something to strengthen, and we, a couple months ago, we did a video which was pretty successful on sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss, but it really is, we're losing everything as we age. We're losing our muscle tissue. We're losing our tendon strength. We're losing our connective tissue strength. We're losing our bone health. Like it all is going downhill, So really the game, like we've talked about before, Jack, is to defend, delay, and protect as much as we can as we age.
So it's like, just like you talked about 5 minutes ago, isolating calcium or whatever they test.
Mhm.
It's part of an orchestra. Same
Yep.
thing with bone density and muscles and that's an orchestra. That's your body's
It's an
orchestra.
orchestra. It all works together. And you might think that it's like, oh, this is weird. I think about it for strengthening my muscles. But when you think about it, it's like, that's a dumb thing to say, right? Because you're using all that other stuff. The bones, their main job is to take load. So the body, many times, most of the things that we do, if you have a stimulus to your body, then the body responds by getting bigger muscles, getting stronger bones, so that stimulus is on all of those structures. So all those structures are going to get stronger, so it's pretty cool. I love being in the business that where my kind of realm as a doctor of physical therapy is exercise,
Yep.
Especially surrounding injury and, knowing how to rehab it. But it is nice to be, I think, in charge in my clinical practice, in charge of one of the most important levers someone can pull to improve their health. It really, it is, I could go on and on and on, and that topic matter of like pulling something out, and they call that like the reductionistic strategy we have. Well, we're going to come up with a medication for that. Or we're going to come up with this for that. Like we're going to come up with exercise in a pill. It almost never works because it's just so complicated. There's just so many things that go on. I'll give you another example. The microbiome. So like your gut guys, like all little bacteria living in your gut. Like a lot of people, and you hear this you see ads on the TV for this. It's take this probiotic, take this, probiotic or this pill, and you're going to improve your gut health, and most of the experts who look at that stuff, and I am not one of those experts, but most of those people are like, probiotics are extremely questionable on whether they're going to help your gut health, because to think that some scientist, is in some lab here in America and they're like, oh, it's just these 3 bacteria that are important. Oh, but really there's 30,000 of them that they've identified so far that live in your gut, and they're all working together in orchestra type fashion. You're just going to put in these 5 or 10 different strains that they have, but they figured them out. That Jack, they have it all figured out already. They didn't even know there was a microbiome until recently.
Right.
To think that these people have figured it out is just total BS. And I just laugh. I hear other practitioners like, really, probiotics. Like I don't think it's again a very reductionistic thought process, and that's why things like fermented foods, which have a gazillion different things going on and have been around forever, or getting the bacteria off the food, or like all the different ways we get bacteria into our system, is really the way the human body was meant to work.
The human body is incredibly complex. It's overwhelming. I think that's part of the reductionist thing, Ben, is because when you think, you just mentioned the 30,000 microbiota or whatever bacteria.
Yeah.
Everything that has to work for you to be able to walk down the street and live a normal day. God. It's unbelievable.
It was so funny. I was talking to my daughter today about miracles, and we were, we go to this Lutheran school, and she's become extremely religious, which is wonderful. Like, that's great, And we were talking about miracles, and I'm like, Campbell, do you feel like miracles still happen, and in the way of the Old Testament or the New Testament here in the world? And she's like, I don't know for sure. And like I was like, the only thing I can see that I put my eyeballs on as a miracle is the fact that human beings walk around and do all the things they do every day. Like there's the fact that these organisms, like you just said, us, have been created, and the things that we do and the things our bodies do, it is just mind-blowing. It is amazing. And, we really are in our infancy of understanding the human body. It is, that's why it's so much fun to research this stuff and learn more and more about it, because it's I'll be able to keep researching to the day I die, so it's a lot of fun.
And that's another thing of learning is so good for you as well. Continuous learning throughout your life. I mean, continual learning. Just never stop. I mean, it's not like I'm out of school, I don't have to learn anymore. I mean, learning can be fun. It doesn't have to be, but then learning, you have to apply it for it to work. Right? So there's so many steps.
There's so many steps. And then like, if you can, like in my field, what I feel so grateful every day when I wake up and I'm excited to do what I do is I get to have an impact on other people's lives and be able to like help them sift through some of the BS out there, because there is so much of it. And it's funny, I've been taking these classes at Harvard Medical School, and everything that I've been talking about, they're talking about too. It is right. I've been working in lockstep with those individuals. Like even the thing I just said about calcium, that was the reason I thought to talk about it, is because they had it very prominent in one of the units that I was just completing. So and I love to see science-based. And when you say science-based, and this is the thing that I think gets everybody, it's like, well, it's evidence-based. Well, we have the evidence for it. Oh, like whatever it might be, you have to base things on the available evidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the other part of it is there's a lot of unknowns. So even if you do base it on the available evidence, you still might be wrong. You know what I mean? So like, even if it's evidence-based, meaning versus COVID or vaccines or nutritional products or supplements or health issues, they don't know everything yet, so things are going to change. I mean, the medical industry, the nutrition industry is going to look a lot different in 20 years than it looks right now.
Yeah, it seems like it really happens in cycles. Some you don't do this. Don't if you hurt your back, stay in bed. Don't move. Now it's get up as soon as you can, get that thing moving before you start stiffening up. I mean, these things change, and then they change. They don't go back and forth, but they do evolve as we learn more. It never stops.
The one in nutrition that keeps going back and forth is the egg, the humble egg. That poor egg. I mean, although it is kind of weird that we're eating an embryo from a different species like that. I mean, although they're delicious, right? I mean, eggs are delicious. I mean, there's no getting around that. But it's funny, like they keep trying to the egg is back. You should eat it. No, don't eat it. Well, eat it. No, don't eat it. And the evidence out there to date suggests that eating high quantity of eggs is going to make you die sooner. That's the available evidence that is out there today. But
I recall you saying you like pastured eggs. Is that right? If you're going to have eggs, is that same as free range? Is that the same thing? Are we talking the same thing?
Free range is different. Yeah, there's regular eggs, which is basically picture a giant factory with chickens stacked on top of each other, shitting on each other and poop, and they're eating their own poop, and it's all disgusting, and they're pecking at each other, and they're stressed, and that's the regular eggs you get. Then the free range eggs, picture the exact same factory, but they're not in the cages. They're all just jammed in. They're so tight that they can't. They're pecking each other, trying to get around. That they open one little door, by 2 foot door, in a 500,000 square foot building full of chickens fighting and they're packed in. That's free range. And then pastured is where they actually have to be outside for a period of time, and they have a rotating amount of actual space that they can be a chicken. So that's the difference.
Quite a little bit of difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference. It's about $1 more a carton for the pastured eggs, but I really feel like we have to start voting with our checkbooks and supporting those, people who are doing the things that are good for us. Why is everybody getting colon cancer? Why are people in their 30s getting it now? It's because our food supply is completely polluted and full of chemicals and crap. And we have to start to make a change. And every one of us can do it by just going to the grocery store and buying the right stuff. Buy the organic food, buy the pastured eggs. It is the most important investment you can make.
I'll tell you, Margot is really into it now, and she says, I did the stayed in the outside aisles, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go in, but she constantly asks me questions too, which I relate to you. But I want to go back just a little bit to where we started, the dairy question. Yeah. There is, when you say dairy, there are a lot of items that qualify as dairy, right?
Yeah.
Are there any, one that I just like the taste of? I like yogurt. I like, with some fruit in it and whatever. But what's your view on yogurt? I know you said about, just go ahead. I'll shut up. What do you think?
On that particular topic, this is really interesting. There was a gigantic meta-analysis done in the Journal of Cell Biology that is very well cited. A lot of the different people who are, nutritional researchers cite this research study, and it basically rated the association with different protein types and death. And here's the ranking. So processed meat kills you the fastest. Then comes red meat. Then comes chicken, fish, and then dairy. So dairy is actually down there a bit on that particular ranking scale. At the very base of that ranking scale are plant-based proteins like soybeans, or there's protein in all plants, too. So, but those seem to have the least amount of effect, and we could talk about why that is. But dairy was not that bad in that whole scheme of things. But within the category of dairy, typically most people lean towards the things like yogurt, versus straight up milk. And you got to admit, it's just really bizarre for a human being. Cow milk actually is extremely different from human milk. Why don't we just milk humans? Why don't we milk humans and just drink that milk? If we're going to take it that far, we're drinking the milk. You're laughing about that, but wouldn't that be more normal? Drinking milk from a cow? We're going to take a mother from a different species, milk her, and then we're going to drink it. That is just bizarre. Actually, if you want to get the milk, it's the most similar to human milk, you're going to have to milk some donkeys, because actually donkeys have the milk source. So, and does that sound weird? Would you drink donkey milk? What milk would you not drink? Do iguanas have milk? I don't know. Maybe iguanas have little nipples. You can milk them. I mean, like, I don't know what happens with this stuff.
I don't even like the thought of goat milk.
Yeah.
That
no,
somehow,
it is. Like,
I mean, don't ask me why. Maybe I'm brainwashed on the cow's milk, like you said, but somehow that seems okay to me. But something about goat or cheese from goat milk, and I
hear you.
I just can't imagine. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the way we were brought up, and I've been doom with the cows.
With the milk. Yeah. And I will tell you, my favorite food there is cheese. So like that.
Really?
If I was going to eat one food all the time, it'd be like I eat big blocks of cheese, but I just know I can't, because it's just not the healthiest thing. If you overdo it on that, you're probably going to have a problem.
Yeah,
if you heart disease.
It's too bad, because there's so many damn good ones.
Oh my god! It's the same thing as just eat it in moderation. It's so funny. So the Harvard researcher that they've been featuring a lot in these classes I've been taking, he talks about the 1-1 strategy. So, and I feel like this is a very good compromise. And I'm not anti-meat, I'm not anti-dairy. I don't drink milk. I'm lactose intolerant. I don't want explosive diarrhea, so I don't do it. So, but what he said is to get rid of a lot of the
diarrhea.
Get rid of lots of like the excess mortality that comes from people that eat milk and dairy at every single meal, multiple servings of each. All you have to do is go down to a 1-1 strategy. So 1 meat serving, 1 dairy serving a day, and you mitigate most of the risk. So that sounds pretty reasonable to me.
Well, Margot especially said, "What does Ben?" I said, "He's not. You don't eat meat much, do you?"
I try to go some days completely meatless. I probably have about 3 days a week where I do not intake dairy or meat. And then the other days I will have usually 1 serving of one or the other.
Like, when you have meat, what kind of meat do you have? Is there a typical for you, or is it very?
I usually will try to hit fish, if I'm going to do it, but then it's hard to find unpolluted fish, but dairy, I'll go to yogurts, things of that nature. I love yogurt. I love making yogurt parfait, so yeah, I don't eat much meat. I eat red meat about twice a year, just because that one is, as my own personal health history is, I have heart disease in my family. So, red meat is definitely not, no matter what anybody tells you, no matter what Dr. Atkins said before he died of a heart attack, or when he hit his head, or I don't know, no matter what any of those doctors said, eating high amounts of like red meat, going on the carnivore diet, if you have heart disease, that is a recipe for disaster. Might not happen right away, but you're gonna have a problem.
And prepping, because you punctured my because I love to grill, and you say grilling's not good for you, right?
Yeah,
grilling meat.
Yes, yeah, you can create some bad actors by heating stuff at high temperature, especially dry heat, But again, the way to think about that is, and it's funny because a lot of the people that argue the meat side of it, because you do have this group that wants everyone to eat meat with every single meal. They're like, well, if you combine it with copious servings of vegetables and unprocessed foods, like you're going to be just fine. You're just fine. So like their argument is that the wonderful things that are in plants, unprocessed plants, all the phytonutrients that are in there, they basically protect you from the bad actors in the meat. And I would argue if you took out the meat, meaning lessened it, but still kept all the good plant stuff, you are going to be doing yourself a huge favor.
Right.
It just, that's the way to go. Yeah. Yes, of course. If you're going to eat like a gigantic steak, coupling that with, steamed broccoli and a salad and this and that, you're going to mitigate some of the damage that you're going to do to your body, so, and because of the vegetables being in there. Did you know, Jack, that there's a direct inverse relationship between how many fruits and vegetables you eat and your chance of having a heart attack or stroke? It's an inverse relationship. More fruits and vegetables, less stroke, heart attack. It goes the opposite direction. Less fruits and vegetables, more heart attack, strokes. So you decide where you want to be on that. Do you want to be like walking where you can't use your leg when you're age 55 because you had a stroke? What do you want, drooling out of your mouth? Like, no one wants that, right?
Right. I've always been a fruit guy, and I'm becoming more of a vegetable because there's some tasty ways you can prepare vegetables that aren't bad for you. And they just, when you get, like, I got a side. I was at a restaurant a couple weeks ago. I had a side of, instead of getting the tater tots, which I would have loved, I got a side of the vegetables, and the vegetables came out with and I had a wrap of some kind that had some turkey in it. Sorry, Ben. But the other people at my table said, "Oh, those look great because there were green beans and carrot. I mean, just the
Sure.
colors, and they were
Yeah.
just, it was just, they said, oh, I wish I would have known, I could, next time I'm coming, I'm gonna do that. Because it's not like you have to just gag it down, I
Yeah.
guess is where I'm saying. We've gone beyond that, so that there are ways to prepare the things that make it a hell of a lot better than
And
when we
I
were
think,
kids even.
yes. And I think it's a cop out to just be like, I don't like vegetables. Like, well, okay, are you 2 years old? I mean, like, let's move on from that. I mean, seriously. I mean, sorry, Mikey won't eat it. Mikey likes it. Like, it's like, come on, you're an adult. Like, let's start to eat some vegetables. Like they're not that bad. And I was right there with you. In my like 40s, you couldn't put a vegetable in front of me. I would run screaming. And I've had to incorporate it in now I have to tell you, I love vegetables. I love them now. And it's part of that whole thing. You got to try something like 14 times or whatever before you start to get a taste for it or whatever. There's some kind of talk about that, but I think you just got to eat it a little bit, and your taste buds kind of adapt, and then you kind of end up going, wow, these things aren't that bad.
Yeah, well,
and there's so many of them.
And I read a thing the other day. It said the more you eat bad food, the less good food will look good to you, and the more you eat good food, the worse bad food will look to you.
That is 100% true. Yep. It's called training your taste buds. It really makes a difference. And actually, what is the most freaky thing about that? Some people think the reason for that is you are conditioning your gut microbiome. So when you eat the good foods, it's feeding all the good bacteria, and then they speak to you through the vagus nerve, and they're like, hey, we want more broccoli and kale and blueberries. Versus you could be on the other side of it where you're eating all cake and gigantic bagels and muffins and all kinds of crappy processed foods, crackers. Then all the bad actors get cereal, all the bad actors get out of control in your gut, and they're saying, hey, we want more sugar, we want more refined sugar, we want more processed crap, so it's weird. It's a two-way street, and they actually communicate to you. So it is, look it up. It's a true fact. Your bacteria talks to you. They swim up through your wherever they're in the intestine, right? They talk to Jack
I hear him every once in a while.
Yeah. No, but it's more complicated than we know. So it is. That's why it's just so fun to watch and listen to all this stuff. So
the other day, Ben, you'll be proud. I was in the cereal aisle only because I had to go past to get to the coffee. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the cereal and I thought, not as good as you used to look. I mean, I still when I get near that, there's like a million different varieties of Cheerios. Mm-hmm. There's one I've told you, which is my absolute favorite, and I just love it more than that. I still can't look because I might grab it and throw it in my cart just on reflex. But
sure.
But yeah.
Just remember, if you're eating Cheerios, you're eating candy, and you're an adult man. You don't need to be eating candy for breakfast.
Right. Every once in a while, if I have a little dessert, then maybe.
Yeah, that'd make more sense. You're having like it as a weekend dessert or something of that nature.
Yeah.
But now, all
right.
Stuff.
Yes, you're back. It did not say, some people, they take off for a while, they come back, it takes a little while to get in the groove. Man, you came out firing today. You were like,
I've got so much material. I could go on for 3 hours.
It was the Quist Cannon today, man. We just got it.
Yeah.
Full bore.
Yep.
All right. All good stuff. I have to tell you keep saying you're taking Harvard classes and and it reminds me of a joke that is, you can always tell a Harvard man, but you can never tell a Harvard man anything.
Oh, I suppose there's some truth to that. Yeah. Yes. No, I don't know. I'm only taking it because I feel that group has credibility. So, and actually so far I've been very impressed. I thought I wouldn't learn anything. And it's not that I'm learning a ton. I am, but I'm getting validation for a lot of the things that I already kind of like spout off about, eating less meat-related protein, like all that stuff. It's just fun. I'm downloading. They have all the studies cited, so I'm printing off all the studies, putting them in the binder so I can use these as my ammunition for those who want to look at where the research comes from, so.
Yep. And Harvard Business Review always has good articles, man. It's just really good stuff. So, I still got to take a shot at them every once in a while.
They're totally pretentious and
Yes. So, all right. Anything going on at the gym that we should know about at Foreman Fitness?
Well, we just did a nice renovation on our spinning room, which I am very proud of. It looks really good in there. In addition to a renovation of our spinning classes. So spinning, for those of your your listeners that don't know, it's a indoor cycling class. It's a great class for someone who hasn't taken much exercise classes before. It takes no coordination or knowing the beat. If you can ride a bike, you can do a spinning class. And it's great cardio work. So we have a bunch of different formats, like a little short 30-minute spin class. I go to the one on Wednesdays at noon with Jeremiah. There's also spin classes that incorporate some weight training with the spinning. So 45 minutes, get your weights and your cardio at one time. So I'm really pleased with how that area is going right now. So
that's great. Spinning, I would contend, Ben, that spinning is easier than riding a bike because you don't have to worry about balancing it. I mean, you're right there. There's no potential safety issues. You don't get to glide like you do on a real bike, but still, it's a hell of a trade-off. And I've been doing the half hour. I love the Eliza, 6:30 in the morning. It's great. It's like my off day, kind of, no impact on the joints that day. But also, spinning is not. I know people who have never done it think you have to be like this ultimate cyclist to do it. You don't. There are beginners, and your team does a great job when someone comes in and they say, if there's anybody new who hasn't done it, they show you how to set up the bike. It only takes a couple minutes. So, and you're off and at them. So I highly recommend it.
Yep. Very non-intimidating, very low barrier to entry exercise class, because some of them I'm too scared to go in there. I'm not taking any dance classes or, like bar class. I'm not doing that. I don't want to get embarrassed, but spinning is the one class I take. I just think it's a good one, and it's forces you to get that cardio in there.
Yeah. So, and mobility was a sellout again this morning. It was great. MJ's doing a great job. So
good.
Got good team. Good things going on. If you have any questions about it, where do you email to?
You can email us at info@foremanfitness.com. You can go to our website, foremanfitness.com. There you can hit the chat button. You can stop in. We're open to tour the facility and show you around anytime that we're open, which is really Monday through Saturday. So
Yep. And I got my sauna in today. I'm a very happy camper when I get my sauna in.
Did you go and do the it's something about those? I love the dry heat saunas too. I have an infrared one at home. I actually like the one at the club better. I like the dry heat. It's something about it.
Yeah, it's really good. So you got a lot of good stuff going on, and keep it going. And I would say to anybody who's, Bulldog's coming off the flu bug, so he hasn't been in. But if Bulldog is not afraid to go in anymore to the gym, I think anybody can go into Foreman Fitness. So
true statement.
Good. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for coming ready, Ben. Revved up. I knew you would be, but still, I was like, oh man, he's gonna still be in vacation mode. But no. You came out firing.
I only gave you like 1% of my material.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You're a beautiful man, Ben. All right, Dr. Ben Quist, we really appreciate it. And we'll talk again next week. So thanks very much.
Sounds good.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.